Bismarck Event Center, formerly the Bismarck Civic Center, on History Talk, where we look at the people, places, and events that shaped our community. History Talk streams exclusively Thursdays at 10 a.m. on KFYR+. Bismarck's first dedicated venue to host mass gatherings was the Athenaeum, a stage house erected in 1883 at 810 Main Avenue. It hosted live performances, dances, school graduations, and private events like weddings. It also showed Bismarck's first movie. It was common for early theaters to host both live performances and films. See the History Talk segment on local movie theaters for more on that topic. The Belle Mehus opened in January 1914. Designed by local architect Arthur Van Horn, it originally was known as the Bismarck City Auditorium, or any abridged variation of that, until being renamed for a local music school teacher in 1989.
Belle has been teaching music to Bismarck people for the past 50 years. Their numbers are always increasing. Belle began teaching piano when she was 14 years old. Her most famous student was her sister, Alma Mehus Stadness, now of Devil's Lake, who had what she terms as a brilliant but short career.
I started her off when she was 5.5 because she insisted on it. She kept clamoring for me. She says, give me your lesson, she'd say. And so I just started not knowing really what to do except what I read in books.
In 1996, the Belle Mehus Auditorium underwent a major renovation at a cost of $2.5 million.
3 items that were taken off the drawing board last year to bring costs in line with a $2.5 million budget have been put back into the project. Thanks to $90,000 in private and corporate donations, the sound shelf and upper lobby renovation will be completed, and the orchestra stage lift will be installed, which will extend the stage for other types of productions. The additions onto the east and north sides of the Belle are now enclosed, and when completed, will provide elevator access, a reception area, and expanded backstage rooms for musical and theatrical productions. And balcony seats on both sides of the stage, which were taken out years ago, have been reintroduced.
The Belle Mehus continues to host a variety of performances to this day, including the Bismarck Mandan Symphony Orchestra. Next door, the World War Memorial Building opened in January 1931. It was designed with the intent of having a diverse usefulness. Upon completion, it contained the largest convention hall in the state, along with a first-class gymnasium. Space was reserved in the basement for a future addition of a swimming pool, but it's unconfirmed if this was ever achieved. A memorial building commemorating World War I veterans was first authorized during the 1929 Legislative Assembly. The Liberty Memorial Building, built on the Capitol grounds in 1924, also honored World War veterans. It was decided that the World War Memorial Building would be a joint city-county community center. The city would fund $125,000, with $84,000 coming from the county. With nearly 75% support, Bismarck voters overwhelmingly approved the debt limit increase and bond measure to finance the World War Memorial Building through a special election held on May 31st, 1929. It was the city's largest election turnout to that point. The cornerstone was laid December 31st of that year. It was formally dedicated on January 9th, 1931. The Art Deco style building deployed the most modern construction techniques of the time, from its heating system to its steel frame supporting 700,000 bricks. Discussions of an arena and event center for Bismarck first emerged in the 1950s. The original proposal called for expanding the World War Memorial Building, but funding could not be secured. The first serious attempt at an event center came in 1958, but funding went to constructing the Veterans Public Library instead. It wouldn't be the only time library and civic center financing had a direct correlation. In fall 1963, the Civic Center appointed a Citizens Civic Center Committee to deliberate plans for a center, but it wouldn't be for another 4 years before the Civic Arena would be approved. Roughly 20 prospective sites were considered, the most likely of which included north of Interstate 94 on city-owned land, east of 26th Street on state-owned land, east of Bismarck Junior College, and 5th Street at Front Avenue. The committee narrowed the potential sites to 12 before recommending, in January 1964, the 5th Street location. The site was chosen primarily for its access and proximity to the central business district, particularly the existing City Auditorium next to the World War Memorial Building, both of which held various events. The city consultant also favored the site. Despite its strong support, a heated debate ensued for the next few years over the center's location, with numerous letters to the editor favoring alternatives. Harold Schaefer strongly lobbied for the arena to be built on land he would donate east of Bismarck Junior College, citing its scenic advantage. 3 public votes between 1964 and 1967 determined the Civic Center's fate. Voters authorized a bond measure of $1.8 million for an arena in April 1964, with 54% voting in favor, but defeated a $900,000 cost and debt limit increase on December 6, 1966. While majority favored the increase, it did not achieve the required 60% margin. The City Commission approved the Civic Center on March 21st, 1967. To cut costs, the approved $1.7 million plan eliminated a permanent stage, with unfinished seating on the east side for later expansion. Public approval was still needed, and on June 26th, voters narrowly authorized $1.5 million towards constructing the Civic Center at the 5th Street site. 4,255 votes in favor. 3,560 voted in favor of the Bismarck Junior College site, which would have delayed construction. Voters from the nearby Highland Acres development opposed the college location more than any other section of the city. The city acquired 5 blocks of land from the Wachter family for the project, in what proved to be a fruitful endeavor for the Wachters' upcoming Kirkwood Plaza that would open adjacent to the arena soon after. 2 blocks were purchased for $112,000, while the Wachters gifted the remaining 3 blocks to be primarily used for arena parking. Construction commenced on June 28, 1967. A few weeks later, excavation uncovered artifacts dating back to 1807, long before Bismarck's founding, including historic European china and bottles. Other waste was more recent, estimated to be the early 1910s, from what was assumed to be a waste dump. Among the artifacts were European china, old bottles, and even printed articles. By mid-1968, the exterior walls were completed, along with paving for the parking lot. Contracts were awarded to pave nearby streets, Sweet and Bowen Avenues, and 5th and 7th Streets. Bismarck Avenue, now Expressway, was also paved between 9th and Washington. The Civic Center was completed in 1969 for $2.5 million, while 1/4 of the cost was financed through private donations. The 24th annual Holiday on Ice was the first event held, September 5th through the 9th. It was formally dedicated on September 14th. By the time of opening, nearly every weekend for the next year was reserved, exceeding expectations. The Civic Center completed a 112,000 square foot addition in 1990 that included 6 meeting rooms and a 48,600 square foot exhibit hall just north of the arena. The addition and main arena were connected by tunnel to allow easy access between the two facilities. The $11.2 million project was financed using a sales and leaseback method, along with funding from a voter-approved 1% city sales tax. This financing vessel guaranteed the $20 million property tax break promised when the 1% sales tax went into effect. The city sold the Civic Center, a water main, and the library to Norwest Bank for $17 million. The bank acted as a trustee, while the city repurchased the assets with an interest rate of 8.33% at installments of $2.1 million per year for 15 years. Construction commenced in 1987. It was quite controversial. At least 2 lawsuits were filed. One challenged the project's financing. The district court ruled in favor of the city, which was later upheld by the state Supreme Court. In 1990, the state Supreme Court ruled that Bismarck had violated a North Dakota competitive bidding law. Despite this, construction was allowed to continue because it was, quote, impractical, end quote, to cease. On the other hand, supporters argued that Bismarck was losing opportunities with the Civic Center's present state. One example cited a scheduling conflict in 1986 where rock band Kiss could not perform at the center. Controversy aside, the new exhibit hall already had 120 days worth of events booked by the time it held its grand opening in November 1990. A $9.8 million addition to the arena's south was dedicated in December 1999. Commenced in March 1998, this addition added 1,000 seats to the main arena, a new entrance on its southwest, new ticket box office, upper-level food court, and a 1,200 capacity reception area. Other improvements included new sound, lighting, and curtain systems. A 27,050,000 square foot expansion of the exhibit section concluded in early 2015, more than doubling the previous exhibition space. At only 60% completion, it hosted the Williston Basin Petroleum Conference in 2014. Once again, the expansion was met with controversy. Financing was again challenged, particularly after voters rejected a measure backing the expansion in 2012. The measure would have increased the motel, liquor, and restaurant tax by 1.5% and the lodging tax by 1% to finance a proposed $90 million project. Opponents also argued in favor of a full replacement facility in the rapidly growing northern part of the city, as opposed to expanding the existing center. Despite public opposition, the City Commission unanimously approved the project in 2013. It would be financed through bonds to be repaid using existing taxes. On September 26, 2014, it was officially announced that the Bismarck Civic Center would be renamed Bismarck Event Center in response to the center's increased diversification. In 2006, an effort was initiated to expand the Civic Center at a cost of $26 million. Part of the expansion included the addition of a parking garage and a 16-story Connaught Inn hotel. A 1% sales tax was proposed by Mayor Warford to help fund the expansion. However, the plan was scrapped due to slowing economic conditions at the time and overall public opposition. Another expansion was announced in May 2012 by a group of hotel owners who hoped to see a 30,000 to 40,000 square foot expansion. That was the Bismarck Event Center on History Talk. Is there a local history topic you'd like to be featured? Email historytalk@kfyrtv.com. I invite you to check out my 2 Bismarck history books. They are available to purchase on Amazon and select local bookstores. Copies are also available at the Bismarck Public Library. Visit bismarckbook.com for more information.